minute, this is 3 a.m. and this is the best I can do for my daughter. And I thought, man, this is not what I was hoping for. I just realized my family was going to grow up without me. That's what I realized. And then I realized I needed to make a change. And then I realized I got to go figure this out.
I've heard that story many times from a lot of different people, and especially business owners and entrepreneurs. And
Then now I realized, oh, this is how we make money in real estate.
because I think now that's something that people need to understand, that if you want a quality renter, then you need a quality product.
We don't go after something unless we can understand how we're going to add value. You shouldn't buy something unless you understand how you're going to improve the bottom line. People want to do what you do, but they don't want to do what you did. And the did part is the part they don't want to do. And just get out of your own way and dive into the details.
From closing deals to opening minds, this is the Mr. D podcast. I'm Omar Andreasen, and we're about to get real about real estate, success, and the grit that it takes to build your best life. Let's dive on in.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Mr. Deed podcast show. My name is Omar Andreasen, aka Mr. Deed, and today I have the pleasure of having Mr. Ken G. That's like such a nice, smooth name, Ken G. I mean, you should be like Do you play saxophone?
No, I wish I did. I'd be probably a lot richer.
Oh, well, just with that smooth name. Yeah. But anyways, all right. So let me tell you a little bit about Mr. G. He's actually the founder and managing member of KRI Partners, a real estate private equity firm specializing in the acquisition and management of value add multifamily assets worth up to $160 million. Ken is also an educator and a creator of the Multifamily Investment Academy, where he provides investors with the frameworks and technical skills needed to evaluate and scale high yield real estate portfolios. Well, Mr. G, thank you so much for being on our show. Kind of disappointed you don't play the saxophone. That would have been
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, you don't want to
So,
hear me sing either. Oh man, glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
love it, man. So, tell me, how did you transition into multifamily investing and private equity?
Yeah, boy, that's a great question. So I was a commercial lender for 5 years. I spent 7 years at Deloitte. So what happened as a CPA and the tax side? So what
Mm,
happened when I was at Deloitte? I got my undergrad, I got my master's, I got a good job. I thought I was cool. Now I need you to rewind the clock, like almost 30 years, had a hell of a lot more hair. And my daughter was an infant. In fact, I used to do her 3 a.m. feeding every single night. It was
ooh,
very
that's
cool
fun.
because, yeah, it was very cool. If you're a
Yeah.
parent, you know what I mean, man.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
father-daughter time. Everybody else is sleeping. Nobody's bugging you. I mean, it's a good bonding time. Until I realized after, maybe a few weeks of this, wait a minute, this is 3 a.m. and this is the best I can do for my daughter. And I thought, man, this is not what I was hoping for. I just didn't think about it, right? I mean, I was all hyper focused on doing all the right stuff, get a good degree, get a good job, do all that. And then I just realized my family was going to grow up without me. That's what I realized. And then I realized I needed to make a change. So what happened when I was at the bank for 5 years, all my customers were in real estate and making a killing. Then I went to Deloitte and the Cleveland office. That practice had the biggest real estate tax practice in the country. Like there were
Mhm.
household names, people that if I told you who they were, you would know their names. And so now I'm surrounded by people doing you just killing it in real estate. Well, I'm getting killed in the CPA world. And then I realized I got to go figure this out. And so that's what actually pushed me was that I didn't want my family to grow up without me. I mean, it just made me sick to think that my kids are going to go doing their school plays and their sporting events. And where's dad? Oh, he's working like always. See, and I didn't want that.
Mm.
So that's what drove me into real estate.
That's a powerful story, man. That's and I think I've heard that story many times from a lot of different people, and especially business owners and entrepreneurs, and what drives them. It's usually it is the family, and when you have the kids, because you only have those kids for you can only create those certain memories for so long, because then after that, once they pretty much hit high school, then sometimes even lower middle school, like eighth grade or seventh, and they're just kind of on their own, and then you get them back again. Hopefully, you get them back again later when then they start their families, etc. Right?
That do you go a period of time where they don't like you? They want to get
Yeah.
away from you. It's kind of heartbreaking, actually, but they do come
Yeah.
back. I'm proud to say that mission was accomplished. And now, almost 30 years later, they're all grown up. They're doing great. My daughter actually now works for us. She
Nice.
finally came back 100% on her own. So.
Okay. So, what would you say were probably the key moments that kind of shaped your investment philosophy through this journey?
Yeah, it's probably a whole bunch of lessons. Back then there was no podcast. I mean, we're talking about the early to mid 90s, right? Or
Mm,
mid to late 90s. And the only thing out there to teach you anything about real estate was Carlton Sheets. It is no down payment system. You probably don't even know who that is, but yeah, he's since passed, but he did single family homes, right? No
mm,
podcast, no coaching, no none of this stuff. So, everything I learned really the hard way. Like, my investing philosophy, the biggest lesson I learned early on was this value add concept, right? Now I mean, everybody throws that word around like, duh, of course you're doing value add, right? But back then I didn't understand. I thought, I was going to buy this thing and somehow it was going to go up in value. I didn't fully understand how that was going to work. And then I met this lady named Karen from the Shaker Heights Pro Integrative Housing Service. And I said, Karen, I'm not getting good apps, right? I bought this property. I'm getting apps from people that have been evicted. I'm like, I don't want to rent to those people. And she said, well, let's meet at the building. And I met her at the building and she says, Ken, I hate to break this to you, but this property is built in the 1930s. Your kitchens were built in the 1930s. No one wants to live in a 1930s kitchen anymore. You need to go renovate these units. I said, Karen, what do you, I just took every penny I had and some that I didn't have to go buy this place. And now you want me to go spend more money? Like, I don't know
mm.
how. She's like, I'm here to tell you that you got to, if you build it, they will come. That was what she said to me. So I said, all right. I said, how much do you think I got to spend? I mean, I was totally clueless back then. She said, probably around 5 grand. I said, wow. Okay. All right. So I got on my credit card. I did one unit. So now going in, my rents were 415. I
Mm.
renovated that unit and I got all crappy apps. Renovated that unit, put it on the market at 599. First app was a grad student from Case Western Reserve. And that's how I learned what value add was, right? We did the kitchen, we did the floors, we made it look nice. And I mean, there's nothing better than a grad student with a parent cosigner as a tenant. I mean, there's just nothing better. So that is the first lesson I learned. Because then now I realized, oh, this is how we make money in real estate. It's embarrassing to admit that out loud that I was that clueless, right? Even though I had tried to figure out the business. Now, I mean, it's the only way to make money in real estate. You got to figure out how to add value to the building. It's the most basic concept that you could learn, but I had to learn it the hard way, and that's how I learned it.
That's very strong on what you said because I think now that that's something that people need to understand that if you want a quality renter, then you need a quality product,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
We're actually going through that right now. Funny enough, I mean, this guy pretty much owns $1 million house. He was renting to a tenant that was paying $5,000 a month. But there for 3 years, the tenant could not, and I told him, I said, the red flag was when you had it at 5,200 and the tenant couldn't afford that. Your second red flag was when the tenant kept on paying you late month after month after month, and you decided to keep him there for 3 years. And then now the tenant is gone, and then you're surprised when the property looks like hell.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the signs were there. You
Yeah.
just you just chose to ignore the
Right.
signs. Now he is, he calls me and we walk in and I'm like, you need this whole thing needs to be redone, all the way from painting to flooring to bathroom upgrades to kitchen
Oh.
upgrades. I mean, so you're talking about almost $80,000
Yeah.
because the house was built in 2001 and everything about the house was 2001.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, if you really want a stronger tenant and you want this to show better, I said,
Mhm.
at first. said we just need to do probably the kitchen and some other things. But as
Hmm.
we're walking through the house, this tenant completely destroyed the bathrooms, the
Oh,
kitchen, whole, I mean, every
yeah.
roaches throughout the whole property.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean they so
In a
I
million dollar house.
in a
Wow.
$1 million house, yeah.
Wow.
And I told him, I said, man, listen, I hate to break it to you, but you're really gonna have to spend some money here because we don't know. Imagine now if you rent this out for top dollar,
Hmm.
and let's say you did maybe the kitchen and a couple bathrooms, but then you still have the carpets that are absolutely disgusting, but now you have roaches everywhere. Like if it was me, I said you just have to regut this and start all over again, and just be blessed that he paid you something as you're going along, and this is a
Yeah.
lesson that you just learned.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that value add, I mean, that's very strong that you came up, that you kind of that Karen came in and helped you realize what that value add was, because now I'm sure you see it tenfold now within your business, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't go after something unless we can understand how we're
Mhm.
going to add value.
Yeah.
I mean, apartments are businesses,
Hmm.
and it's no different than business. If you grow the EBITDA on a business, now that's NOI in real estate world. If you grow NOI, it just stands to reason somebody's probably going to be willing to pay you more for it, right? I mean, it just makes sense. That's how it works. So you shouldn't buy something unless you understand how you're going to improve the bottom line. Now, sometimes it's no physical improvement. Sometimes it's just management improvements, letting the market run, whatever it is, but you've got to understand how that's going to happen. And if you buy and just hope and pray, that's a really bad business plan.
A lot of people do that.
They do.
So talking about trying to identify the property. So how do you identify properties with real upside potential?
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to get to know your market. The first thing you got to do is just spend a lot of time in your market, looking at a lot of deals, underwriting them, and just understanding how. Now, here's the key. You can put on your data analysis hat, that's fine, and sit in your chair and whatever. But what you really need to do is go look at it from a consumer standpoint. How is a prospective renter going to view the market? And so every property, if they were to visit 10 properties in their mind, they're not doing per square foot calculations. They don't do that. That's not what renters do. They're emotional buyers, so they're looking at these properties, stacking them up based on amenities and unit size and the coolness of the floor plan, all that kind of stuff, right? And so that's what you have to do. You have to understand the market in that way so that if you find a property that's maybe in the middle of the stack, what do you need to do to make it move up in that stack? And what is it? What do those properties look like that yours doesn't, right? And maybe it's nothing. Maybe you just got to have the guts to ask more rent. Maybe you got to do some improvements to improve the curb appeal, to improve the unit, whatever. You've got to figure that out. That's how you do it. But it comes with just market knowledge. And there's no shortcut. You just have to spend the time to get to know the market because that's what your prospective customer is going to do when they're thinking about renting your place.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what mistakes do you see newer investors make when they're analyzing the multifamily assets and
Yeah,
like
they
deals
they
like
just
this?
yeah, I mean, I don't want to be critical, but most of them just don't want to do that real work. Right? They want to run a CoStar report or look at Crexy or do something at a really high level, right? And you can't do they'll use AI and you can't do that. I mean you've got to actually get to know the details. You know, I'm really hung up on this. Everything we do is detailed, ground up details. And why? Because it's a business. And most of us are asking people to give us their money to invest
Mm-hmm.
with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so most people that are willing to give you 100 grand want to know that you actually know the details. And so that's the biggest mistake I see people make is they kind of use averages. They don't want to just dive in and go visit those rent comps and drive around the neighborhood and see what's going on. They don't want to do that. That's the number one mistake because if you just did that and act like your prospective renter. Hey, I want to rent in this neighborhood and let me see what's going on. If you did that, it would be so obvious that just sitting behind a computer using Chat GPT or something like that to try to analyze this, you're not going to get the right result because that's not what people do. You're talking about their homes, right? That you're talking about their houses. The most important thing. I'd say there's two things that are most important to somebody. Number one, their kids, always their kids and family, and number two, where they're living. and
Mm.
where they're living impacts their whole family. So you're like at the top of their priority list. They don't Most people don't want to move into a garbage pit, right? They don't. They care about what their how how they live their life day to day. So that's the number one mistake.
So what would you say? Well, it's funny how you talk about people just don't want to do the work. I mean, I run into that all the time now. Everyone thinks I like, have you physically seen this? Have you physically touched it,
Hmm.
smelt it? No, no, I don't need to because I can just look at it from like Google Maps and AI can help me with this and statistics can help me with this. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? That's one part of it, but I said the real part of it is when you actually go touch it, smell it, see it, because guess what? Whenever you put it on the market, that person that you're expecting to go in that is going to be doing the same thing, you
Yeah,
know?
you're right.
So,
John Maxwell has a saying. He says people want to do what you do, but they don't want to do what you did. And the did
mm,
part is the part they don't want to do. And I get it, man. It's a lot of hard work. Now, I don't expect you to do it the way I did it because I did it really, there was no help. But now there's help available. But you still got to do the work. You still got to go figure it out. Because when an investor asks you money or a question and the lender asks you a question and you got to know the answer, but you got to know why, and you got to show
hmm
them and prove to them, no, man, these things are under market. Let me show you why I know that, not why I think that. It's let me show this is obvious. Let me show you, and then you are very able to take them through the details, because what happens is, and this detailed knowledge not only builds your confidence, but it allows you to get the money that you need. Because now the lender knows you know what's going on, the broker knows that you know what's going on, so they'll actually give you the deal. And the investors get way more comfortable, right? Back in 21, they would give you money if you had a heartbeat. They don't do that anymore because they've all lost a lot of money by doing exactly what I just said. So now they're vetting sponsors. They're like, no, 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 I need to know that you know your stuff. And when you do, you'll kill it. If you don't, you'll struggle. You won't be able to raise the capital.
Love that. So, what do you think it takes right now to grow a small, let's say, to grow from small investments to managing large assets?
Yeah, you said now you switched to managing, so I'm assuming you meant
Correct.
owning them, right? Or
Like,
managing.
yeah, kind of scaling the real estate portfolio.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a long process, right? You got to develop a network. You're going to need Here's the thing, everybody runs out of capital.
Mm,
So some people, believe it or not, people that start out sitting in my chair almost never have any money in the beginning. I didn't. I borrowed my half of the down payment for my first deal. Right? And everybody is scraping it together. Well, what actually has to happen if you don't have any money is you got to find money, right? Somehow. So now you got to network, right? Everybody says, "Oh, you got to network, you network, right?" But what you're really doing is solving a problem for yourself. And that problem is you got no money. Okay, so
mm,
how do you get money? Well, I'm going to find someone with money. Well, why would they want to work with me? Well, rich people know that they can make a lot of money by not doing the work, but finding other people who are really good at it and let them do the work. Well, that's what you got to be. You got to be that person that knows the business inside and out, right? And is willing to do whatever it takes. That's what I did a long, long time ago when I was trying to scale. And I met this guy named Gary. I'll spare you the whole story, but he had the balance sheet, the liquidity, and he had the experience. And he said, we should do deals together. I said, well, Gary, that's cool, but I can't match you dollar for dollar. I mean, no way. He goes, don't worry about it. He says, you work hard. You got to put in a little bit because I won't let you do it for nothing. He said, and then you do all the work. He'll use his balance sheet and most of the money, and we'll split the profits 50-50. I'm like, oh my God. I'm in. Millions of dollars later, obviously it was the right thing to do. So that's
mm.
what people do, right? In our world, it's a joke. You got to find your Gary. And if you don't have any money, you got to find the rich person that's willing to work with you. And rich people got rich mostly by doing things through other people. They know the concept, but they also got really good at recognizing when you don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
They won't work with you. So that's why I say the number now I'm back to the number one mistake. You see, if you just dive in, do the work, it's all going to happen for you. So now you find that partner that can really help support you financially, and then that's how you grow. And then you're going to continue to need outside capital. You're going to do the same exact thing. You learn the details, do the hard work, and network, and show everybody that you're that person. Well, everybody wants to invest with somebody that they believe they can trust. They believe that will work hard on their behalf. That's the solution to everything.
Oh no, 100% it makes sense. Yeah, because like you said, you have some of those people that have the money, but they just don't want to do a certain amount of work, but they want to work with that expert that can help them grow their money.
Hmm.
Yeah, 100%. No,
Yep.
that makes sense. So let's talk about now the education and investor mindset. What frameworks do you teach that most investors are missing?
It's details, ground up. They want here everybody wants the shortcut.
Mm.
They want the easy way. They want the napkin underwriting. They want the they just I know you're laughing, but I
I'm laughing
agree
because
with
you're right. You're right. Everyone, we come to an age where it's almost like, okay, just can you write it all down for me? And even when you do, they're like, oh, can you just do it for me instead? It's like,
yeah.
I just
Yeah,
told you how to do
we
it from A to B.
all of our courses have videos, transcripts, everything. Yet I have to get on group coaching calls and tell them live exactly what's in the video. It makes me crazy. But but so that's what we bring to the table. See, here's what people don't understand. When you try to take this shortcut, real estate's not hard, but there's some things you just got to know. So when you're trying to do the shortcut, what ends up happening is you're making millions of mistakes because you didn't listen to the guy that does pay attention to the details. So now you end up taking this really wonky path to get to where you're trying to go that ends up being way longer than if you would have just done the work in the beginning and saved yourself all these left turns and right turns. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
That's the key. That the shortcut is by learning the business. Because if you don't know the business, nobody's going to give you money. No lender, no investor, no Gary. I mean, nothing works. I mean, why? This is what I get exercise about this in case you haven't figured it out. I think it is absolutely ridiculous for you to ask somebody to give you $100,000 to put in your deal and you haven't taken the time to learn the business inside and out. Like, I just think it's
Mm.
insane that anybody would think that that's a good idea. And so that's why we focused on the details. And when people come into our programs, they're like, "Damn, I know now." I mean, you can tell. You can tell when someone does a pitch on a deal that they know the details because their conviction is through the roof and they understand and they agree and they know why. And you can just tell. It's hard to hide it. And that's our whole entire program is based on
A lot of truth was just spoken in those couple
that.
minutes there.
It's not that you want to hear it, right? Look, I don't want to do any more work than I need to either. But you gotta understand, right? After 30 years, I can take some shortcuts that you can't because you just don't know what's going on underneath. And but eventually you will be able to take some of those shortcuts, but you got to start off knowing the real deal. I always
No.
tell people, I want you to imagine going on Shark Tank in front of Kevin O'Leary and he figures out that you don't know the details of your business. That's what you have to avoid. That's if you put that in the back of your mind and actually pull it out in front of you every now and then when you're going through the process. And if you think Kevin would destroy me, then you need to go learn the details because he's not wrong. He's a smart guy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's talk about two more things. So, the
Okay.
future outlook. Where do you see the biggest opportunities right now in multifamily?
Yeah. I mean, I think right now you could pick up a lot of higher quality assets
Mm,
at cap rates that is, I mean, I think right now we are in the middle of one of the best buying opportunities since 08, 09. And why? Because we have distressed sellers. Whenever there's a problem in the real estate world, it's credit focused. And what did I say? Back in 21, 22, people took out very low interest rate loans. They thought rates would never go up because that's what Mr. Powell said. They would never go up. And then they raised them faster than any time in history. And so those people have to get out of these deals. And we have builders building like there's no tomorrow. They're slowing
mhm,
down now, but they
mhm.
started that process back in 21 when dirt money was cheap. And so now we have builders trying to unload properties because they have to. And they no longer make economic sense. So when we look at the newer stuff, tons of opportunity. We look at older value add deals that didn't perform as well as they should because of a lot of reasons, tons of opportunity. I mean, it's stacking up everywhere. So no matter where you're at in the buying world, if you're trying to buy A stuff, B stuff, C stuff, I mean, I can't imagine there's been a better time since 08 and 09.
No, yeah, I would definitely agree. There's a lot of things that are starting to. I tell buyers all the time and investors, I'm like, listen, this is the time where you need to really start focusing and homing in. If you were that person that said, I should have bought 2 or 3 years ago, well, you really didn't make sure, and you didn't. You need to
Yeah,
make sure that you make that move now because what's going to happen is
yeah,
you're going to be kicking yourself just like you did before. Like, oh man,
yeah,
if I'd have bought that, I would have made 100, $200,000, blah, blah, blah. But
yeah. In
same
our
thing
world,
now.
we're talking millions, not hundreds of
Yeah,
thousands. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yep,
Exactly. So, I'm sitting there, I'm like, guys, you need to make the move. Don't sit, you're going to sit there again and just look at the couch because money's going to get like things go up in value, right? Number
yeah,
one. And two, money gets expensive. Cost of living goes up.
yeah.
So nothing's going to change on that. That's a cycle
Right.
that you're going to deal with regardless. All right, last question.
Yes, sir.
If you can just leave one D behind, one action mindset or a lesson to all of our listeners today, what would that be?
Well, I've already talked about it, but let me just expand on it. So you got to dive into the details and really, really understand the business. But the other thing is you got to get out of your own way. That's the other thing that stops people because they can't imagine that they could own this $10 million apartment building. Like it's like in a world that their brain can't they just cannot comprehend it, right? They just can't. Guess what? Here's what I will tell your listeners. There is no difference between any human being in this world. We all have, well, most of us have two legs, two arms, we wear clothes, we do all the same stuff. The difference is some people decide that they can do more and some people stop themselves. If I could change anything about most people, it's stop stopping yourself. Stop. I did it. I know. I'm a victim of that. So I know how it feels. It's very hard to push through that. The best way to push through that is to put yourself in rooms of people who are doing what you want to do. Because
Mhm.
now you're like, wow, I'm not so different, right? You're going to feel small at first, but eventually you'll get pulled up and then you'll realize, wait a minute, right? I do own apartments now. I finally did it. They're going to help you push through because they know what it was like for them to try to push through. They know how hard it was, right? So that's probably the thing I want to leave with them. Just get out of your own way and dive into the details. I mean, life is about good hard work. Just do it. And if you don't believe me, go find a successful person who says, "I'm successful. I have no idea what's going on in the details of my business, and I just got lucky." That never happens. That's just not how it works. It's just not.
I just got lucky. I love that. Well, I mean, well, a little bit of luck sometimes does have to go in there, right?
Well, that's fine,
Yeah, a
but
little
you
bit of
don't
luck,
get the
but
luck without the details.
exactly. No, but
I
you
mean,
are
it
correct.
doesn't just
No,
happen.
no. And some of them
This,
will tell you it's like, the details are first, but sometimes you do get a little bit of luck out of that.
yeah, the problem is, see, this we'll go back to John Maxwell. They want to do what you do, but they don't want to do what you did, mostly because they didn't see what you did, right? They
Yeah.
don't know you until you're doing it. They didn't
Mm.
see all the grind. And so they don't think the grind exists. I promise you it's there. And it's a huge payoff if you do it.
They don't want to do the grind. That,
No,
that that's
no,
the biggest issue,
me neither.
right?
But
Yeah.
do you want to change your life for you and your family or not?
Exactly,
You got to do
exactly.
something different tomorrow than you did yesterday, or else nothing is going to change.
That is very, very much true. Insanity. So, Mr. G, thank you so much. And obviously, now you have to take up saxophone lessons or
I do.
something sexy to go with that name. It
Yeah.
really stands out.
How about we just do real estate and show people how to do it and help
That's
investors
sexy as well.
build
That's sexy as
massive
well.
wealth? There we go.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day and definitely giving us some great insights as far as real estate and a little bit about yourself as well. We really appreciate you taking time. Guys, hopefully you really enjoyed this episode and you learned a lot from Mr. G. We're going to have all his contact details so you can follow him. And also, too, if you want to enroll into a school to learn to do what he does and not take shortcuts or luck, then he will teach you everything that he knows and all the mistakes to avoid. So, want to thank everybody again for listening to the Mr. D podcast show. Please make sure to like and subscribe and follow us for our next episode that comes out every Thursday. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
This is Omar Andreasen signing off and reminding you that success in real estate and in life is built one deed at a time. Until next time, keep it real, stay sharp, and don't forget to give life a big whammo and keep moving forward.